Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Tim Busse. This is our first Mayor's Town Hall, and very glad that you're here and appreciate your being here and you're participating. I was hoping we were going to outdraw the Wednesday night music and market up at City Hall, but you know, I guess the music and the food is better than what we can offer here. But glad you're here. Thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Here is what we're going to do this evening. I've got slides apparently also. First of all, I want to point out, so on these slides that we have, you'll notice the colorful stuff. It's actually parts of our Wrights Lake Park mural. So they kind of put it together on our communication staff, which is just fantastic, but they developed the PowerPoint slides using the mural at Wright Lake Park, and you'll see bits and pieces of those as we go along here. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about a variety of things. We're going to start, I'm going to do kind of a quick rapid fire of just some topics that are probably of interest and just want to get through maybe a minute and a half on the different topics that you see listed up there, just give some additional information. And then the questions that have been submitted, they're in the bowl here. And you all know Fire Chief Yuli Seal, do you not? Yeah, Yuli. Yuli is helping out tonight. What he is going to do is reach in blindly, pull out a question. He's going to read the question. We're going to answer the question, and we're going to do as many of those as we can in between now and 8:30, right? And we'll get through as many as we can, but they're not going to be filtered. They're not going to be grouped into different things. We're going to pull them out, and we're going to read them, and we're going to answer them. So that's how we're going to do it. And we'll try and get you out of here at 8:30, I promise, because I know there's not that many nights left in the summer, and you don't want to be sitting in an auditorium too late into the evening. So we are going to do that. So what I am going to do is just, as I said, start going through some basic topics that we have that you probably have questions on, and I just want to make sure we can get through here. The first is public safety. And I know it's a topic on a lot of folks' mind, especially with the Uniform Crime Report that came out this week at the state level. And I am happy to report that here in Bloomington, crime is trending downward. Month over month, year over year, crime is trending in the right direction. And I'm very happy about that. I know that 2021 was certainly a high crime year, but we are lower in the subsequent or the corresponding months this year, and actually we're seeing a continued drop as we go along. I'll be honest, we were a little nervous coming into this summer, worried that we might have a high crime summer because that was the expectation in Minneapolis, and there was just some unease about that. But in fact, our crime numbers for the month of June are significantly lower than they were last year, down almost 13% year over year, June last year to June this year. Very happy about that. Also happy about the work done by Chief Booker Hodges and our Bloomington Police Department. We have heard, yep, exactly, I agree. I can't go out with him anywhere because everybody wants a picture of him and they don't want a picture of me anymore. We went on a national night out and he was like a rock star. It was fantastic. We have been talking about, the main thing, the one thing that I hear about from so many people wherever I go is about speed and reckless driving in neighborhoods. Everybody, it's consistent no matter where I go, and it's been consistent for a couple of years now. Even before I was mayor, when I was on a council, I heard that from so many people. The police have taken notice. And again, year over year, the number of traffic stops in Bloomington from June of last year to June of this year, they've increased, I think, by almost 40%. So they are stopping a lot more, and those stops have resulted in, I think, 30% more citations. So our police are doing a nice job. They're hearing the complaints, they're hearing the concerns that folks are bringing forward, and I appreciate that they're acting appropriately and doing a good job with it. And I think this type of thing is leading, that type of traffic stop, that involvement, that active being in the community, being visible, is an important part of these numbers that we're seeing coming down. It just makes logical sense. And I think it has a lot to do with Chief Hodges, his departmental philosophy of mutual respect. Basically, if the police respect the community should respect the police, and the community should respect the laws that we have. And they're doing a fantastic job. And my hat's off to the Bloomington Police Department and to Chief Hodges. A couple of things that aren't coming down, just to be completely up and up here. We still have a too high number of thefts of catalytic converters. And the main reason is because it's easy and it's lucrative, and it's hard to stop. The chief has told me if somebody is good at catalytic converter thefts, if they're proficient in it, they can literally be under a car, cut off the converter, and out in about a minute, which makes it really difficult to deal with. But those are the folks, that's what they're dealing with, trying to do a little better job of marking those converters. And we need to work at the state level to get laws that folks can't just take them and sell them at a scrapyard and collect all kinds of money. That's what they're doing now. It's lucrative. And we need to figure this out at a state level in terms of marking and handling the catalytic converters. The other thing that the numbers are continuing to be about the same are mental health crises. Brain crisis, basically, for folks. And we saw that number rise significantly during the pandemic, and unfortunately, those numbers haven't come down. And it's concerning. And so we have within Bloomington Police, we have 2 embedded social workers from Hennepin County that work with our police department. And part of their job is to work with our police when they have to respond to a mental health crisis. And unfortunately, it's a reality. And especially in the city of 90,000, the fact that we have two counselors from Hennepin County is a huge benefit for us, and I appreciate the work that they do. So that was more than 60 or 90 seconds on the first topic, and I apologize for that, but that was an important one, and I thought I wanted to get to it and make sure that we covered some of the important things. Also on the topic of public safety, we are in the process of rebuilding our fire stations. And for the obvious reason that the existing fire stations that we have are old, and they are equipped for the 1970s as opposed to now, and the trucks that are now used in firefighting literally don't fit in the existing fire stations. And so that is an issue. And so we're looking to do that, to build new fire stations. We just finished fire station number 3 over on the east side last year, I believe. It's fantastic. If you've driven past it on Old Shakopee Road as you head over on the east side, it looks great. Work is underway on fire station number 4 over on 84th, 86? 84th, off of France Avenue, and that's moving along very nicely. And we have plans in place to construct an additional 4 fire stations as well, because again, it's a public safety need and we need to be able to have our apparatus fit into the fire stations. We're also in the process of moving toward a full-time fire department here in the city of Bloomington. We have 90,000 people and we don't have a full-time fire department. And it is a risk that we should no longer have to take, I think. I think we know the issues, we know we need to move forward. We know we're a city of the size that should have a full-time fire department. And so these new fire stations will also have sleeping and dormitory quarters for full-time firefighters as well. So we'll be doing that. Our strategic plan, our Bloomington Tomorrow Together. If you haven't heard about this was a process that started a year and a half ago, I think, to put together a new long-range strategic plan for the city of Bloomington. It involved hundreds of people, thousands of hours of work, people putting their thoughts together, bringing them forward to a core planning team, the core planning team putting that all together into a mission statement and community values and goals and so on. And now the next step is that the city staff is putting that all into a work plan. And using all the information that they've gathered and all the information that has come forward, looking at what we've currently got underway, looking at budget realities. There's a lot of pieces to this. We're going to be hearing the first parts of this work plan in the next couple of weeks at the City Council, so tune in. It's something I think that it's going to affect all of us. If you've done a strategic plan, whether it's in church or at a business or when you've been involved, you know it's a big deal. It kind of makes sure everybody is on the same path, understands what that path is, and moves forward. The part I like best about our strategic plan is our mission that we've come up with. Our mission is to cultivate an enduring and remarkable community where people want to be. And that's a pretty bold statement and pretty broad statement, but I think it's one that really reflects where Bloomington is and where we need to be. We want to be a community where people want to be, and I think we can achieve that in a lot of different ways. We have also finished work on our park system master plan. The City Council approved that a few months back. And we know that parks are one of the things we hear from everybody what they love most about the city of Bloomington. We have, I think, 97 city parks in the city of Bloomington, and they're a huge asset, and everybody loves them. We have realized, though, through our park system planning process, that we have a definite need that we need to reinvest in our parks. The parks, again, were built as Bloomington grew, and were outfitted as Bloomington grew and developed. And some of the park buildings, some of the park equipment, some of the parks in general are tired, and we need to reinvest in our parks. And we also need to look at the way that people use parks and the way that people could use parks, and adjust our parks accordingly. For example, I'm sure you've all, pickleball players in the crowd? Any pickleball players? People love pickleball, tennis is falling off. So the thought to maybe right-size our parks in terms of what the use will be moving forward for the use that people want and the use that they're looking for moving forward. Also to update our aging park facilities, and of course to protect natural resources. The parks, in addition to being a place to play, they're also a place to preserve the natural resources, and we'll be doing that with a variety of investments and a variety of work in the parks around the city. Our Bloomington Sales Tax, you may have heard this discussion. We had this discussion last year during the legislative session. What we were looking for was the opportunity to implement a Bloomington Sales Tax to pay for projects in the capital projects in the community that are overdue. Bloomington Ice Garden is in need of a lot of work. We're looking to add a performance center for our arts programs, and our arts programs are exploding. The number of people involved in our arts programs is just amazing. To put together an actual performance area for them, not just the theater, but a performance theater for the orchestra and the chorale and all of those folks. And then also to replace Creekside with a health and wellness center. We've been talking about what to do with Creekside for as long as I've been on the council, trying to figure out what the best option might be. And we're looking at an opportunity to replace that in such a way that it would house our public health department. It would also be it would have plenty of meeting space, plenty of opportunities and options for folks to be in a community type health center. And so it would be on the Creekside site. It would be an opportunity to do that kind of thing. The best part about all of this, the way that a local option sales tax is set up, the tax, 75% of the tax would be paid by people outside of the city of Bloomington. So obviously there's a cost to all of this, and there are benefits to the city, but we can set up a local option sales tax so that people coming to our city through our hospitality industry, going to the Mall of America, through our bars and restaurants, that 75% of that money would come from people outside of the city of Bloomington. All great ideas, and we had it all put together, and it passed the House, and it passed the Senate, and it was in both of those tax bills, and then it died the untimely death because they didn't finish their work or get enough done at the end of session. So we'll be looking at reviving that this legislative session and seeing if we can move that forward once again. We passed also on the council our earned sick and safe leave time, sick and safe leave ordinance, basically to ensure that workers in Bloomington have the right to time off if they're for sickness or for their own personal safety. And if the past couple of years have taught us anything, it's that when people are not feeling well, for goodness sake, don't go to work. Be able to take time off, and that's what the earned sick and safe leave ordinance does. It gives people the right to take time off. They earn hours depending on the number of hours they work, and then they can take those for if they're not feeling well, to take care of a sick child, to take care of parents, to get parents to a doctor's appointment or so on. The safe part is also, we saw during the pandemic also an alarming and kind of disturbing rise in issues of domestic violence. And the safe part of earned sick and safe leave allows people leave to deal with legal matters, to relocate if necessary, to be able to handle areas or situations where they're not safe. And so it will most prominently affect the people in our hospitality industry. Frankly, it's some of our larger corporations have something like this. Certainly they have PTO in a variety of different ways. A lot of our hospitality industry does not. So this would affect workers in our hospitality industry, which I think personally is appropriate. We have an enormous hospitality industry in the city of Bloomington. It has contributed significantly to our tax base and to tax dollars in the city. And the workers that actually do that work deserve this type of thing and deserve to be able to take time off if they're not feeling well or to take care of their kids. Projects, including the water park at the Mall of America. We approved this earlier this year, and turned it back to the water park, to the mall, and instructed them to go find the private financing that they need to fill the gap and to be able to pay for this. And as they have continued to do that, to try and find funding, private funding for this, as you all know, costs have gone up, both in the, certainly in the construction world in terms of materials and construction costs in general, and they also got caught with inflation. So they are working hard to try and fill that gap, but I know that gap is larger than it was initially when we had this discussion about the water park. So the folks at 555 are continuing to work on this, and we continue to get updates from them, but right now they're trying to find the private financing that they need to close that funding gap and to be able to move forward on the water park. The World's Fair, Expo 2027. So right now, I hope you've heard about this, Bloomington is one of 5 cities, 5 areas across the globe in the running for World Expo 2027. The other cities are Spain, Thailand, Serbia, and Argentina. And this is an effort that basically started a few years back trying to land the 2023 World Expo. Bloomington came up short on that, recalibrated, really improved the work of the organizing committee. The bid committee is what we refer to it as. The folks, it's called Minnesota USA Expo 2027. And it's a United States bid. It's been endorsed by the White House. It's been endorsed by the last 3 presidential administrations. It is an independent organization of the city of Bloomington. It's got its own fundraising apparatus, its own board of directors, its own executive director. They're doing all the work. It's not a city operation. This is an independent operation pulling all of this together. And we have been busy trying to convince voters that Bloomington is the place to come and have the World's Fair. And by voters, I mean people who belong to, it's called the Bureau of International Expositions. It's an international group that decides where World's Fairs go. And it's kind of like high school. It's, you gotta convince these folks that you're the cool place to be, and convince other folks to convince their friends, and it's that kind of thing. And it really is a competition. We will know next June whether or not Bloomington and Minnesota and the United States have landed the World Expo. And I've heard from a lot of folks, well, I mean, why would we want to do this? What's in it for us? What's in it for Bloomington in particular? The work that we had done to try and figure out what the economic impact would be, the estimate by the organization that we hired to do the work, it was a $2.5 billion economic impact in the state of Minnesota. $2.5 billion. It's estimated that it will create 34,000 jobs, full and part-time jobs, and it will generate about $360 million in local and state taxes. So it would be a significant impact in a lot of different ways. And the idea is, it would be a three-month fair. The site is just to the east of the Mall of America, and it will give us an opportunity to develop an area east of the Mall of America that for 30 years has been an asphalt parking lot and weeds. It gives us a jump start on developing that in a way that could be very beneficial for the city of Bloomington. We would not, of course, do something like this and build pole barns and put up tents and that kind of stuff. That's not the idea at all. The idea is to put in the infrastructure, to build permanent structures, and then after the 3-month run of the expo, to be able to turn those buildings just that much and turn them into med tech offices or supply chain business types, medical organizations, something along those lines. We would put the area, we would put the infrastructure, we would put the buildings to creative reuse, and it just wouldn't sit empty and wouldn't, like I said, it's not a knockdown. This would be something that would be a permanent structure in Bloomington and would be a significant economic development source for the city of Bloomington. Again, on a plot of land that has sat vacant for 30 years, despite being right next door to the Mall of America. And so it's a good opportunity for Bloomington, and we're looking forward to it. The funding, our city budgets process is, we're in the budget process right now, and the priority, as I mentioned earlier, is on public safety. We've talked about the firefighters, we've talked about the need for the fire stations. I know our police department is requesting new officers. We're just looking for, we're responding to needs, we're responding to questions, we're responding to community infrastructure that needs to change in order to maintain the public safety that we have right now. And so that discussion, as I said, it's been going on. We're actually going to get our first look at the budget proposal from city staff, I think on Monday night. I believe we're having a special budget meeting, so be sure to tune in and see what we have on the docket for Bloomington. And just as a reminder, our tax levy increase in 2021 and 2022 was 2.75 each of those 2 years, and that is significantly below our peer cities. And over the course of 3 years, our numbers have been significantly lower than all of our neighboring cities, in particular Edina and Eden Prairie and so on. We've been lower throughout that time, and we certainly hope to continue to be to continue that. We're going to be as careful, we're going to be as strong of stewards as tax dollars as possible. It is literally the most important thing we do as a city council. We do not take it lightly, and it is something that we'll be working on. As I said, we're going to start that work on Monday night. And here's the graph that we always like to show, the monthly tax for the median value home. Kind of hard to see here. Bloomington is in the blue. We continue to be below some peer cities, Eden Prairie, Brooklyn Park, Maple Grove, Edina, and so on, in terms of the monthly tax burden on a median value home in each of those cities. I know that was longer than the 60 or 90 seconds that I promised, and I apologize for that, because that's kind of what you came here for, but not exactly. So now it is time to get into our questions. And as I said, Chief Seal is going to reach in and pull it out. He's going to read the questions, and I will answer the questions, and we will get as many as we can, get through as many as we can in the next hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, whoops. Got to be careful here. First question from R. Jensen. With 90-some parks and 9,000 acres of park or native areas, why do we not have park police to enforce the rules and policies that are posted at parks?
Good question. We do have a lot of parks. We don't have a dedicated park police like they have, for example, in the city of Minneapolis. I think Minneapolis is the only city in the state of Minnesota that has a park police department. And that obviously is a city of 400,000, and they've got a much bigger park system than even we have, and we've got a big and impressive park system. I think the basic answer to that is that it's just a matter of resources and priorities for resources. Certainly we want people to follow the rules in the park. We want people to behave in the parks, but I think we rely on our Bloomington Police Department to handle that as opposed to a specific park police for financial reasons and for practical reasons, I think.
Our next question. What is Bloomington's plan going forward with the water park at MOA? Is it still a smart idea to go forward with current budget restraints?
We just went through that basically, and that's a good question also, because every project eventually gets to a point where it just doesn't make sense financially. And I won't say that we're there on the water park because I don't know the details yet in terms of what 555 has been able to pull together in terms of what their financing structure might be at this point because of the rising costs and inflation and so on. We'll evaluate it carefully, and we're relying on our partnership with 555, the work that we have done with them in the past, the work that we continue to do with them, and the logic and the soundness of the decision that we will make will be based on the financial realities. It will be based on outside influence, outside help from experts, people who know the water park industry. You'd be shocked that there are water park experts, but they're there. And they know what they're doing and they know what they're talking about. And so we'll continue to rely on them, and we'll continue to work closely and see if this makes sense. It made sense when we approved it, I think from a financial standpoint. Where it stands now, I don't have specific details yet, but we'll make a judgment and a determination based on what we hear from our friends at 555.
Our next question comes from Jameen. Any chance of getting some crosswalks on 106th between 35W and Xerxes Avenue? It's so insane with traffic, and there are lots of kids/pedestrians trying to cross to go to Moyer or just walking around the neighborhood. The rate of speed people are trying to get to/from 35W is crazy and dangerous.
And I agree. As we talked about earlier, it's the thing that I hear most from residents when I talk to them, is how to slow people down, how to make people be safer, to not drive distracted, to not drive crazy, especially in the neighborhoods or where people are crossing or around schools and so on. One of our strategic priorities, and what we have funded is for this year, is to put together a study to figure out the best way to slow people down and to make them drive more safely. And we broke it down because you always need to be able to do this so it's memorable. So we broke it down into E's, basically. So the environment, the enforcement, the education, the equity of it all, the engineering, all those different pieces that go into slowing people down, to making them drive more safely, to making our city streets safer, because it's absolutely important. We're also really kind of trying to clean up and simplify our process for neighborhoods to come to the city council and say, hey, we would like to see you put in speed bumps. We would like to see pork chops, which is a traffic term. It's basically in the middle of the street to slow down turns and to slow down traffic in some way. Traffic control, physical traffic control solutions to people speeding, neighborhoods know best. A lot of time the neighbors know best. You know, if we just did this, I'm sure we could slow people down like this, but we've got kind of a convoluted system right now for neighborhoods to come to the city and request that kind of thing. We're working to simplify that. We've got a great example. I think it's on Hampshire Boulevard, right off of old Louisiana. Maybe perhaps it's on Louisiana. They came to the city. They had a plan in place. They worked with our engineering department, and it was under construction all summer. I haven't been over there recently to see that it's finished, but I believe it is. It was the neighbors bringing an idea forward and the city working with them to get it done. And we need to do more of that. And we also need, as a city, to kind of put together a comprehensive plan about how we do this, because that plan is there. I mean, I think there are ideas, there are solutions. We just need to figure out what the best solutions would be. And frankly, it's not just enforcement. I'm glad to hear all the tickets that are being written for people driving crazy, but we can't just write our we can't ticket our way out of this. We've got to make sure that we do things comprehensively to make sure we can slow people down.
The next one's a two-part question. What is your definition of affordable housing? And part two is, are some of these new apartment complexes including a percentage of affordable units? We talk a lot about affordable housing, and I don't necessarily like to use the phrase affordable housing because it comes with it all kinds of thoughts and stigmas. I think people are pejorative toward that phrase of affordable housing in a variety of different ways. I like to talk about it as housing that people can afford. Housing is expensive in the Twin Cities, in Bloomington, across Minnesota, across the United States. It is a challenge to be able to afford either a place to buy or a place to rent. It really is. And when I talk about housing that people can afford, and the answer to the second part of the question, in our new housing, our new apartment developments, is there affordable housing? Is there housing that people can afford in each of those developments? The answer is yes. More often than not, it is yes. And the thought is, again, housing that people can afford being at 80% of the area median income, which means, for example, if the area median income in Bloomington is $100,000 a year, and I'm throwing that out because it's easy to do the math then, 80% of area median income is an annual salary of $80,000. 60% is a median income of $60,000, and 40 and so on. So that's what we're talking about when we say area median income, and that's what we try and design affordable housing toward, is those numbers, using those numbers. And a lot of times, given Bloomington's median income, area median income, those numbers, when you get down to 60, 70% area median income, basically what you're looking at is our first-year teachers in Bloomington schools. You're looking at our first-year police officers. You're looking at the folks who work in our hospitality industries. Those are the folks making what would, in years past, everybody thinks, well, yeah, it's a decent wage, you make $60,000 a year. It's very hard to afford an apartment on $60,000 a year. It really is. And so we are working toward that to try and make Bloomington a place where people can afford to live. Housing that people can afford. And I'm proud to say, the Met Council, they set goals for every community
across the metropolitan region, they set a 10-year goal about what cities should try and reach in terms of affordable housing goals. And they set, for Bloomington and for everybody, they set a 2030 goal, the numbers that we should hit in terms of 80% AMI and 60 and 40 and so on. So this is our 2030 goal. It's 2022, and Bloomington is 77% of the way toward our 2030 goal right now. And frankly, it's something I'm very proud of, because I know there are a lot of cities, neighboring cities, cities that you all know very well, who are about 77% behind where we are right now. A lot of cities simply aren't even making the effort. They're not putting forth the effort. They'll do the talk, but they don't do the walk. And I'm proud that Bloomington is actually committed to doing that kind of thing to make sure that people can afford to live in the city of Bloomington.
Okay, the next one comes from somebody who calls themselves Busse Blows. Why are you such a bleeping idiot? There was some editing with that.
There was, I'm sure. I didn't know my mother-in-law was going to be here, actually. It's so first of all, I would bet within a couple of 3 guesses, folks could maybe guess who might have written something like that, right? People can probably guess. And I'd like to see a show of hands. Who thinks that type of question is appropriate? I mean, who thinks in this kind of setting of what we're trying to accomplish tonight, who thinks that's appropriate? Because I certainly don't. I mean, it's not. If we're going to be part of a public forum here, if we're going to be part of the public realm, first of all, that it's not appropriate. Don't ask a question like that. It's just not, it's insulting to everybody here. So don't ask a question like that. Secondly, if you are going to ask a question like that, sign your name to it. Sign your name to it, and let's have that discussion. Social media makes it way too easy to be anonymous and brave behind a keyboard, and it drives me crazy. If you've got something to say, my phone number has been public on the Bloomington City website for 12 years now. I've got an email address. I'm in my office 2 or 3 days a week. I'm more than happy to discuss anything with anybody, but anonymous attacks on anybody, whether it's me, the rest of the council, our city staff, neighbors, each other, it's unacceptable. And it doesn't do anything to build the community that we're trying to build. It really doesn't. And so, I mean, I will certainly say that it's disappointing to hear a question like that. I won't say it's surprising to hear a question like that, but it is disappointing. And next time you see it on social media, next time you hear folks talking like that, it's perfectly acceptable to call them out. And don't get into the fight, don't get into the back and forth with them. Simply say, that's not the discussion we want to have here. That's not what we're doing. If you could all do that, I'd be greatly appreciative of that. Thank you. Thank you.
The previous question almost answers this question. Why isn't tonight's meeting live streamed?
I think we're recording it, but we're not live streaming it. And I don't know if it's a matter of the technology that we've got here this evening or the bandwidth or exactly what it is. I'm not exactly sure why it isn't live streamed, but it is being recorded and it will be available on the city's YouTube channel, like all of our other meetings, like all of our other public events, like so much of what we do, it's going to be available. So I think it's probably a technical ability kind of thing. I honestly don't know. I'm not sure why the decision was made that we decided not to live stream this and instead just have it available post-meeting on our YouTube channel.
Okay, this question comes to us from Bangerhofer, and I apologize if I mispronounce some of these names, but why doesn't Bloomington have left turn blinking yellow arrows or left turn on solid greens when safe? There are so many times that I sit at lights when there is no one in sight coming towards me.
I think we do have left turn on blinking arrows. I think we do. On some, not all. It's yeah, I know we do have some, perhaps not all. I love the blinking orange or the blinking yellow. If it's safe, just drive. I mean, people can make that own judgment, and obviously it makes most sense. Why it isn't everywhere, again, I'm not sure if it's a hardware problem or a software problem, or if it's the fact that they can't set them up to blink, I'm not sure. Some of our roads, of course, are county roads, and they control what the timing of the signal is and how the signals work. So I'm not exactly sure why, but I do know we do have some in the city on a variety of different places. I think we do have some.
Who from the city has traveled out of the country for the expo?
Who has traveled out of the country for the expo? So, back in February, the city manager and I went to Dubai, to the World Expo in Dubai, and our trip was paid for by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we had Emily Taplin, who is a staff member, came along as well. She does our videography. She records and edits the council minute and all that kind of thing. She's a member of our communication staff, does an outstanding job. She came along to record things and to make sure that we had documentation of what we were doing and so on. Subsequently, after that, also in Dubai, I think our community development director, Carla Henderson, our Port Authority director, Shane Rudling, and I think Councilmember Carter, and was there one more? And Glenn Markegard from our planning department. Excuse me, they went out as well to Dubai to see to see it. Those are the folks who would work on an expo if it were here, in terms of planning, in terms of community development, and all just in general. And so we thought it was effective and worthwhile for them to go to Dubai and actually see what an expo is. And they happen once every 5 years, so it's not like you can just run down the street and check it out. And then most recently, back in June, the city manager and I were in Paris for the annual meeting, or the biannual meeting of the Bureau of International Expositions. If we want this to be in Bloomington, that's the group, as I said, we've got to convince that Bloomington is the place for it, that we're ready for it, that we're capable of doing this kind of thing. And it takes some hand-holding, it takes some lobbying, it takes some convincing folks of that. That trip, I believe, was paid for by the Port Authority, the Bloomington Port Authority. And again, it's a necessary part of being part of the international stage, and being on the international stage is traveling sometime like this. And looking at it as an economic development opportunity for the city of Bloomington. It's not uncommon for municipalities, it's not uncommon for businesses. You need to travel sometimes. You got to spend money to make money sometime, and that's sometime the case here. And it's a requirement to dabble in this type of thing, to work in this type of thing on the international stage, requires us to actually be there and be face to face and do this. I've seen the posts, I've seen the junket kind of accusations and comparisons, and I've explained to folks, it's if you've traveled for business, you know that it's hard work. None of those places are close. It's a long travel day. It's a day full of meetings, and it's a day full of work. Yeah, granted, you're in Paris, you're in Dubai, but it's work. And I got back from Paris and I had COVID. It's not as glamorous as it sounds, because there's a lot of work involved in terms of what we're trying to accomplish and what we're doing. And again, if you've traveled for work in the past, you know that's the case, no matter where you go.
This question comes to us from Amy. When will the city focus on revitalizing the east side of Bloomington, besides the South Loop MOA area? Lots of code violations going on over here, and unkempt properties, both residential and business. I've been a lifelong East Bloomington resident, 25 plus years, and I've not seen any efforts to revitalize this area in all those years.
Well, I don't agree with that, and I don't think that's true. There have been efforts, and there are ongoing efforts. The city has a very successful program called the Home Improvement Loan Program. It's a revolving loan program through the city, through our HRA, where we provide loans to folks, homeowners, to make external and internal improvements to their home. A new driveway, new shutters, new window, that type of thing. Enormously successful, and I think we invest up to $600,000 a year in that program, and it's a loan, so folks take out the loan, they're able to take the money and then ultimately pay it back. So it's a lot of times the fund continues to feed itself and feed itself back. Also, a couple of years ago, we worked on an idea to focus some of our revitalization efforts. So we focused those loans in a specific neighborhood, a specific area, and it was on the east side. And in addition to those loans being available in a specific neighborhood, we made specific improvements. Public Works came in, and I think one great example, Public Works came in, and from an apartment building to a bus stop where the kids had to go to catch the bus every morning, it was, in the winter, it was unpassable. It became a muddy mess. And so Public Works came in and put in a paved sidewalk for them to get the kids to where they were going. And other examples, we did park work. We did specific work in the specific parks in that area, in that neighborhood that we were looking to improve. And it was successful. It was successful. We saw some significant improvements. And it's fun to go around and to see, I know the properties that get these loans, and to be able to see the work that they actually do, and they look good. And frankly, a good number of those properties are on the east side of Bloomington. And we continue to work. We have under development right now, I'm sure we'll get a question on this later, we're developing a small business development center, and we're putting it in the old fire station number 3 on the east side. And it's going to be, as it sounds like, a business development, a small business development center with a variety of resources for entrepreneurs looking to open a business on the east side, looking to improve that in as many ways possible. So it's the east side, yes, it's the older part of Bloomington. There's work that needs to be done. I'm encouraged by the number of folks who are buying up houses, younger families who are buying up houses over there and improving the properties and putting the time and the effort into improving their properties. The second half of the question, talking about properties that don't look good or grass that's too long or that type of thing, I get that as well. And the couple of things there, I mean, in some cases, it's folks that simply can't keep up with their property anymore. And I feel for that. I understand that if you simply can't push a lawnmower on a regular basis, the grass is going to get long, and I understand that. Or if the paint is peeling, or if you're not able to clean up, there are cases like that. And we've seen service organizations, we've seen places of worship, we've seen school organizations step in and try and help out a lot of those folks. And I think that's a great way to accomplish that and to look for it. The other thing is we have city inspectors. Our public health folks go out and they talk to people about this type of thing. Grass that's too long, fences that are falling over, paint that's peeling, and so on. And it's a double-edged sword, and I hear it from a lot of folks. I hear from folks, yeah, the neighbor's yard looks terrible, somebody should come out and do it, or somebody should talk to them or ticket them or whatever, and then our public health people get out there and it becomes a confrontation. Why are you bothering me? Get off my property. We need the police to help out. I mean, that type of thing. It's a give and take. It's a balance. I will say that Bloomington has always, as long as I've been around, has always in situations like this worked toward compliance as opposed to penalizing them. We try and work with the homeowners to make it, to clean up, to get their yard cut, to make the improvements necessary, to find solutions as opposed to simply going right to writing them a ticket because their grass is too long. And obviously it's, wherever you live, your house, your value is only dependent on how well the neighbors keep their yards and what the neighborhood looks like. And if everybody kind of buys into this covenant that if we're going to do this and we're going to do this as a community and we're going to maintain the value of our community, everybody's got a role to play. Everybody's got to pitch in and do this kind of thing. And so it's a trick. It's a balancing act sometimes. It's a delicate time, a delicate item to take on sometimes because, as I said, some folks don't want us there. They don't want city staff there. They don't want to be told what to do, and it can be challenging and tricky. But it's certainly something that we keep in mind, and our public health staff works very hard on it, not only on the east side, throughout the city, because it can be an issue just about anywhere.
I know it's been voted on, but what was the reason for deciding to pave Gerard parking lot?
So for folks of you who don't know, Gerard Park, the parking lot, we voted on Monday night to pave the parking lot, mainly because of the number of complaints we receive about how rutted and potholed it becomes every year, every winter, basically. As it goes from winter into spring, we hear from people that are having a hard time getting out of there. They get stuck. It's a mess. It is a mess. There were a group of neighbors some residents were saying, well, instead of spending the money on a paved parking lot, you should spend that money on natural resource restoration within the park, which also needs to happen. Trust me, that also needs to happen. We've got buckthorn everywhere in the city of Bloomington, so that needs to happen in Gerard Park and in all of our parks. The reason why we ended up choosing to pave it for a couple of reasons. We've made a commitment to natural resources and certainly want to move forward to improve the natural resources and the conditions in the city, but we also have a responsibility to maintain our infrastructure in the city. And parking lots are an infrastructure. It has been shown that we've seen over the years that a gravel parking lot simply doesn't work there for a variety of reasons. To go in and we can grade it as often as we want and it still becomes rutted and potholed. So to actually pave it and maintain and take care of the infrastructure in the city is one of the responsibilities that we have. It's also important to note that that project was part of our capital improvement plan. And it's been on that plan, I think 7, 8 years. So it was identified as a need. It was scoped out in terms of what it would be for the project, for the cost of the project, what the outcomes would be, and so on. And it waited its turn as we worked through our other capital improvements, and this year was its turn, its time to move forward. The notion of a plan for our natural resources is underway right now. We're putting together our natural resources plan. Rather than kind of a ready, shoot, aim approach, we want to make sure that we've got a plan in place, looking at comprehensively at the city in terms of natural resources, what our top priorities would be, what low-hanging fruit there might be, what would be the biggest bang for our buck in terms of spending for our natural resources rehabilitation. All those different things that go into, that we use for our capital improvement plan, we want to apply to our natural resources plan as well. So we're not just moving forward based on somebody saying, well, hey, come and take care of the buckthorn in this park. We want a plan in place for the limited resources that we have, whether it's capital or natural resources, and make sure we do this thoughtfully, planfully, and most cost effectively. So that's why we ended up choosing to pave Gerard Park parking lot as opposed to investing that money in the natural resources rehabilitation that some folks were asking about.
This question comes to us from Thorn01. Can we put sidewalks in on Johnson Avenue South?
I don't know. We currently don't have a sidewalk plan in place to install sidewalks. We have plans in place. We have a program in place to do trails and paths for folks through our parks, through neighborhoods, and so on. We haven't had the discussion about sidewalks in neighborhoods, and we haven't had that in a long time, actually. And I think it's a variety of reasons why not. Again, resources, coming down to resources. There are folks who, it's amazing that front yard is sacred to a lot of folks, and to try and get an entire neighborhood to start nodding yes, that put in a sidewalk throughout the neighborhoods can be a challenging thing sometimes. On the flip side, neighborhoods change everything in terms of sidewalks change everything in a neighborhood, I think. To have people not have to walk their dogs and be in the street, to not pushing a stroller in the middle of the street, it brings a sense of community and connectiveness within a neighborhood that so many things can't. It's just difficult in a fully built city, a suburb like Bloomington that really developed in the 1970s, to go back and to try and retrofit everything. Not impossible, but it's just a challenge to do so. I'm sure we'll follow up. I hope that person left an email address will follow up and go out there and have the discussion, or at least take a look at what possibilities there might be.
We do have that email address. So, will a community center be built at Valley View Park?
We have not had a discussion of a community center at Valley View Park since that issue went away in, 2019. We haven't had that discussion at all. The discussion we're having now is a replacement of Creekside Community Center on the site of Creekside, but we haven't had a discussion in any way of a community center at Valley View. Not since 2019 when that discussion ended.
This question comes to us from Dog King of Bloomington. Why aren't we investing in a less car-centric city?
That's a good question as well. So our climate action plan in the city of Bloomington acknowledges that our two biggest contributors to greenhouse gases in the city are energy and transportation, and that's true everywhere. It's energy and transportation. It's heating our homes and the electricity to run our businesses and everything, and it's people driving in cars and our buses and everything that's going on the roads and so on. So the notion of trying to move away from a car-centric community has a lot of merit to it in terms of trying to reduce those greenhouse gases as they relate to global climate change. The trick is, and we're back to that point that I just made, for a city that developed and grew up in the 1970s, a suburb that was built, like all suburbs, or the vast majority of suburbs, to be car-centric, to be a place where people drive from one spot to the next. And it was the way it was built, and it was the way suburbs were designed just in general, which meant no sidewalks were put in, which meant there were specific different areas within the city that there was housing here and the retail was over here, as opposed to older cities where it often was intermingled in a lot of different ways. We can make those efforts to try and bring all those pieces together to make a city more walkable, to make accommodations, for example, for bicycles. It's amazing bicycle technology now, especially with electric bicycles and fat-tired bicycles, how they can be, they're year-round transportation in the Twin Cities now. It's really amazing to see how that's evolved over the years. But we need to do more of that to give people other options. We need to, if we wanted to do that, we'd have to greatly increase our mass transit options within the city. We work currently with Metro Transit. We are still a customer of Metro Transit, and their primary goal is to get people to and from work, and ideally to and from downtown. So there's a lot of, a lot of north and south. There's very little east-west in the city of Bloomington. So we would have to greatly increase transit. It would be a challenge. I agree with the notion of moving away from a car-centric city. It would be challenging and difficult. I also agree with the notion if we're going to maintain a car-centric city, to make sure that we have other options available, that with the growth of the number of electric cars and hybrids everywhere throughout society, to make sure that we have the charging stations necessary, to make sure that we've got that infrastructure in place. There's a lot of different pieces in place, or that need to be in place, to really move away from a car-centric city in a community that was developed 60 years ago, specifically around the automobile.
Why wasn't resident input considered before choosing Bloomington as the host city?
Oh, for the expo.
That's not part of the question.
Okay.
I've got limited interpretation powers.
We'll go with that. We're looking at this as an economic development opportunity. We're looking at the expo as an economic development opportunity in the city of Bloomington for the 3 months of the run of the expo, but then on both sides of it also. In the run-up, there's going to be a lot of construction that's going to need to take place, and it's going to be an enormous economic boom in terms of construction, in terms of making sure it's all ready and putting things together. Then you got the 3-month run where it'll be like the state fair for 3 months, basically. And then post-expo, where we take the infrastructure that we have in place and turn it into an economic development engine for the city of Bloomington. As we look at economic development in the city, whether it's the work that we did to attract SICK companies. Everybody's seen the SICK building in the South Loop, just on this side of 494? It's massive. It's massive. And that's phase 1 of 4. It's going to be a huge development over there. Things like that, things like the other economic development work that the city does, unless it has a specific, direct, moving people out type of impact, our economic development work kind of goes on independent of public comment, public input on that kind of thing. And this would certainly impact and have an impact on the entire city, but the fact that it's, as I've mentioned, a blank piece of real estate right now, it doesn't have the same type of impacts as it would if it were in a neighborhood, or if it were requiring relocation or property purchasing to actually make it happen. It's a little different than it would be if it was in a neighborhood or in a densely populated area. So I think that would be the reason why we didn't take input. We've been talking about this publicly for at least 7 years, the notion of trying to land an expo and to do this kind of thing. And we've heard from people, and I've heard from both sides, folks who are adamantly opposed to it. I've heard from a lot of people, both inside, in Bloomington and across the metro as I talk about this, because we've received all kinds of publicity about this, who are very excited at this prospect, very excited at the possibility of hosting a World Expo. So, like a lot of economic development activities, we didn't seek direct citizen input because it was kind of a one-off. It was economic development outside of a developed area or a highly impactful area.
This question comes to us from Carol. Are there plans to draw more small businesses to Bloomington?
Yes, Carol, there are. I mentioned earlier our small business development center that we're working to develop in the old fire station number 3. We've got a number of grant applications through nonprofits, through foundations, through the state of Minnesota to basically fund what we need to get this up and running, and very excited about it. Carla Henderson, our community development director, is kind of spearheading this, and if you've met Carla, she's just a bundle of energy, and she's going to make it happen. I know she's going to make it happen, and I know it's going to be very successful. And it continues to evolve. The thought that was there originally continues to kind of percolate and evolve, and it's gone just from small business development to workforce development. And we're going to have a discussion as a community about that in the very near future, because I think there are some exciting possibilities about workforce, trying to get the workers that we need into the jobs that are open, and to make sure that the workers are trained in such a way that they can fill those jobs that are open. And whether it's existing folks, folks going back to school, being retrained, or if it's making high school students, it's getting high school students on the path to where they need to be to do the job that they need to do. For 30 years, it's been college, college, college. Everybody's thinking if you want to succeed, you got to go to college, and we all know that's not the case anymore. That is not the case. There are other options. There are apprenticeships. There's trade schools. There's so many different things, different ways. I had a coffee this week with President Bushway from Northwestern Health Sciences University, and she told me their medical assistant program, they could bring in 25 students, go through 3 semesters of work, and have those 25 students, as the day they graduate, would be hired before noon, basically. There are openings like that and possibilities like that, and we just need to change our thinking and try and figure out best ways to do this. I heard Senator Klobuchar recently said something along the lines of, we're not going to have a shortage of sports management majors. We're going to have a shortage of plumbers and electricians and electronic technicians and auto technicians and all these different pieces that we need to accept the notion that it's, again, doesn't need to be college, college, college. We need to remove the stigma of not going to college. We need to change our education system. Right now, the schools are judged so many times at what their graduation rate is and then how many kids go on to college, as opposed to how many go on to a post-secondary option to learn a trade or a career or become employed. It's just a matter of this whole workforce development notion is really, it's kind of caught my eye over the last few weeks, because we've had so many different conversations about this. And I'll give you, so we have a group that gets together, we're called the Regional Council of Mayors. It's kind of self-explanatory what it is. It's the Regional Council of Mayors. We meet monthly, and in July of every year, we bring our superintendents along. So I brought along Dr. Melby to our last meeting, and all the other mayors did as well, and we had an incredible discussion, because every city and every school district is thinking the exact same thing. How do we do this, and how do we do this more effectively? And we heard a presentation from basically the provost from Dunwoody. And the 3 biggest feeders into Dunwoody. Anybody want to guess the 3 school districts that are the biggest feeders into Dunwoody? Minnetonka, Wayzata, and Edina, which is completely against everything that you'd think, because those schools and those school districts again, are judged, not at their graduation rate, they're judged at how many of their students go on to colleges, on to college. But a good number of those folks go on to Dunwoody. It's going to take a different way of thinking and a different way of developing the workforce, which is going to translate into developing our businesses here in Bloomington, who are in desperate, every employer I talk to in Bloomington is in need of additional workers. And so it's going to be an interesting discussion that we have, and looking for interesting solutions to these challenging problems, because it's not like it's localized and it's only some places. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, and we've got to figure out a way through this.
The next question is a two-part question again. How firmly set are the parameters for the organics recycling program? I understand this program was meant for all organics recycling to be made available for all, but it is currently mandatory for all to participate. The way it is currently set up seems authoritative and unnecessary. Is there room for improvements or adjustments to this program?
There's always room for improvement, everywhere, I think. So let me explain our thinking around the organics program. It officially is a mandate from Hennepin County. Every city in Hennepin County has to put together, had to put together by the 1st of this year, an organics recycling program. We were required to do so. As we talked about it here in Bloomington, we looked at different options. We talked about you only pay if you participate, or we looked at everybody pays, trying to spread out the costs, and we looked at a few other options kind of in between. And the group that was working on it settled on to have everybody pay whether or not they participate. And they did so because if we're going to do something here in the city of Bloomington, even if it's mandated by Hennepin County, we want to put it together in such a way that it succeeds. I would like to see it succeed. And we knew full well that if we only did the pay if you participate model, we would end up having higher costs. It would cost more because there would be fewer people signing up to participate, which would then result in fewer people participating, which means it wouldn't be a successful program. So the way it's put together now is that everybody pays, whether or not they use it, and the strong encouragement that you actually do use it. And I've talked to a lot of people and they say, well, yeah, no, I compost in the backyard, I don't need this at all. Yes, and you can't compost those chicken bones that you just had. You can't compost meat scraps. That's discouraged big time because of the raccoons love you if you do that. Frankly, in our house, as we do organics recycling the last couple of months, we've had tons, primarily because of corn on the cob, the corn cobs, and the rinds from watermelon and from cantaloupe. And you could throw those in your compost pile, and it takes forever for those things to break down, forever. So rather than throwing them away, the organics recycling is a way to do it. And organics recycling gives us the opportunity. You can also put pizza boxes in there, and there's a lot more options with organics recycling than just composting. So we wanted to make sure it was set up to succeed. We thought if it was a only pay as you participate system, it wasn't going to succeed at all. Our goal for the first year was we were looking for 25% participation across the city, and I think right now we're at 24% participation. And I'm kind of surprised at the number of people who tell me just flat out, well, I am not going to participate. Well, why not? I mean, give it a try. You might be surprised how much, look at the list of things that are actually compostable. Look at the list and start doing it a little bit, and you might be surprised at how much your household actually does generate over the course of a week. I mean, we've got 2 people in our house, and we generate a surprising amount every single week. And my final thought on this, I mean, I'm old enough to remember when recycling started, and sorting everything and putting out the specific, aluminum and glass and newspaper and so on, and people rebelling against that and saying this was stupid and why in the world are we doing this? And now it's become second nature to so many people. And it's for everybody, it's just second nature. I think it's going to be a matter of trying to get comfortable with this. Changes, as I said, there's always room for improvement. We can look at different ways to do this better. We have it set up now. I just encourage everybody, give it a try and see over the course of a couple of weeks, a couple of months, how much you do produce. I think you'd be surprised at how much you do.
This next question comes to us from J.S. Bonney. Why is it only you and other city officials are actually in favor of Bloomington hosting the 2027 World Expo? Do you realize many of us residents don't want anything to do with hosting it, especially and including living in a post-Expo city? Were you and the other city council members paid to fly to Dubai on behalf of recruiting Bloomington as the next host of the 2027 World?
So breaking that down, no, we were not paid to recruit. We went, as I said, with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I'm not sure what it means to live in a post-Expo city. I'm not sure what folks envision there. I'm not exactly sure what that is. And then the question is, of who's in support of this. As I said, I talked to a lot of people who are very excited at this prospect. A lot of people within Bloomington and across the region, basically. I have heard from the State Chamber of Commerce. The State Chamber, one of the more conservative groups around, they are all in. They're so excited about this possibility and this prospect. I've talked to members of our congressional delegation, both sides of the aisle, both sides, fully supportive. I had one member tell me 3 or 4 times in a short conversation, let me know what I can do to help. So this isn't just kind of a Don Quixote-like dream here that we're just kind of going off and nobody else is on board here. There are a number of folks who are very supportive of this and who are very excited at the prospect. Not just in our community, across the metropolitan area, across the state. And frankly, we've talked to, through the organization that has put this together, Minnesota USA Expo, understanding that this needs to be a nationwide bid, and to pay for it is going to take nationwide sponsorship. And we have heard from national brands, national companies, who are lining up, who would love to be part of this and cannot wait. If the United States is selected, they want to be on board to be the official soft drink of the World Expo, to be the official rental car. I mean, you pick you've seen it all. You know how that thing works. That public-private partnership works. We do it every year with the Super Bowl in the United States and so many other big events. We have a lot of people who are excited about this. A lot of people, and World Expos are a big deal throughout the world, not necessarily in the United States, because it's been 40 years since the United States has hosted an expo. Last one was 1984 in the city of New Orleans. Last one, and it's long past time for the United States to get back into this and to take advantage of the bringing everyone together, take advantage of the economic development opportunities, to take advantage of the diplomatic soft power that comes from doing this type of thing, and to take advantage of just the opportunity of hosting the world and talking about a very important topic here, like it is here in the state of Minnesota, healthy people, healthy planet. I mean, we've done so much along those lines within Minnesota, whether it's the U of M Medical Center or Mayo or Medical Alley or all the different pieces seem to work and seem to come together, and there's a lot of people excited about this prospect.
Which council members have said they want to get rid of the U.S. Constitution?
I'm going to look at Jamie. Has anybody said that to you? I don't disclose them. He doesn't disclose these private conversations. There has not been a single council member that I have talked to, past or present, and I've served with a lot of them, who have said anything about doing away with the Constitution. Is that what they?
Yes, I'll read it again. Which council members have said they want to get rid of the U.S. Constitution?
I'm going to say none. I will say no one on the council has ever said those words.
Okay. The next question comes to us from Megan. What are you doing to retain small businesses in Bloomington? What are you doing to attract new businesses? Why does the city use online surveys ad nauseum? Citizens have online survey fatigue. Do you listen to actual residents and what we want, not your personal agenda? How does an online survey create space for citizens to speak directly to elected officials who are to be working for us? So several questions.
Several questions there, yes. Let me start with I'm trying to think of where to start here. So the online stuff that we do was actually born out of necessity during the pandemic, when we couldn't get together and do things like this, or do community outreach, or go to neighborhoods and talk to folks. So we had to come up with another idea. And we've got a really good community outreach department. It's a community outreach and engagement department, and we call them co-ed. And they do a really good job. They do a fantastic job. They have their own vehicle. It's called the Bloomington Engagement Vehicle, or short, BEV. And they go out to the neighborhoods, they talk to folks, they get out into the community as often as they possibly can. But as I said, we do the online stuff because it was a necessity during the pandemic. We couldn't get together, so we absolutely had to do that. What were the other questions there? Stand by. 11-point type, that helps. The retain small businesses in Bloomington and attract new businesses. So we talked about the Small Business Development Center and also in attracting new businesses. We just approved a kind of a reorganization between our Port Authority, our Housing and Redevelopment Agency, and our community development folks who work together. Specifically, kind of reshuffled some responsibilities, reshuffled some staffing, specifically to work to attract businesses in Bloomington. We haven't done that well enough in Bloomington over the past few years, in the past 10 years, to be honest. We haven't done enough to attract businesses, to market Bloomington, to say that Bloomington's a fantastic place to do business. It's got great neighborhoods, great people, great education. We can do so much. We need you to come to Bloomington. We've not had that, and we've not done that. And we need to do more of that. And that's what this bit of a reorganization will do for us. And looking forward to seeing, we literally just approved it a couple weeks ago, and looking forward to seeing how they reform themselves, and we start to move forward actually doing this type of work that should be done. So many other cities do it. We definitely should do it as well. And also the retaining existing businesses. I think probably the best example that we did along those lines was during the pandemic. We used some of our strategic priorities fund, I think it was ARP money, and basically gave grants to businesses. Basically, here, hope you can stay afloat during an impossible time, an incredibly difficult time. And I don't even remember what the total was, but it was a significant amount of money that we ended up handing out to area businesses just to give them a lifeboat during a time when it was just so hard, and that wasn't so long ago. It seems like it. So that was one of the things we did to retain businesses. The online survey fatigue. How does the online survey create space for citizens to speak directly? It actually doesn't, but that's what this type of thing is for. That's what, again, my phone number is published everywhere. I'm at the farmer's market every Saturday morning. I see Dick there every Saturday morning also. And there are, I think more than anything, in this community, your council, your elected officials are as accessible to you as anywhere that I've seen, especially in the city of 90,000. If you've got an issue, pick up the phone and call me. If you've got an issue, call and say, hey, can I come in and talk to you in your office? I just met with 2 people today in my office. We're very accessible, very open to doing that, and I think the council members are also. If you see them at the farmer's market, if you see them at the Wednesday night thing, all kinds of opportunities. We're out and about, we are there, and there's plenty of opportunity, I think, for direct interaction with your elected officials. And frankly, that's not just your city council, that's your school board as well. That's your county commissioner. I see Debbie Gattell at events here in Bloomington constantly. She's always available. And so it's a good opportunity for folks to make those direct connections with your elected officials.
How many jobs were added using the $600K worth of strategic priorities funding?
How many jobs were added? So our strategic priorities funding is basically when it is what it sounds like. It's as we get to the end of a budget year and as we get through the audit and figure out where we have money left over in different accounts, different budgets across the city, we collect all that money and then we call it the Strategic Priorities Fund. We use it to fund things that that are a specific strategic priority within the city, one-time kind of things, we use money to prop things up. We use it in a variety of different ways. And I think what this might be referring to, we did use some of the $600,000 to fund, and we typically don't use it in a way that creates tails. So basically we don't create a department or create a program with strategic funding one year and then then not have something to follow it up with the next year. So it can, you know, it's basically a constrained time period or a constrained project or something very specific. We did this past year, I think we did put some jobs on there, and I can't remember how many, it might have 3 people. We funded 3 folks through the strategic priorities funding with the idea of trying to not put those on the tax roll for last year. We wanted to maintain, we knew as we were coming out of the pandemic, we wanted to keep our property tax levy as low as possible. So we paid for those 3 projects, those three personnel through the strategic funding for the 1 year. Now, it is an example of tails. I mean, so those folks are hired and they are on board, and now we will have to work it into the levy and work it into the budget to have those 3 additional people. We did for the first year to try and lessen the impact on the levy impact, and now it's going to end up on the levy. Those three positions will end up on the levy. So I think the answer there is 3.
The next question comes to us from Golf Cart Driver 63. When are you resigning from your position as mayor?
And I didn't know my father-in-law was here also. This is, we've got too much work to do. You're stuck with me, folks. We've got too much work to do between now and the end of next year, so that won't be happening anytime soon.
Next question. How is the city preparing to manage another COVID-19 surge and possible monkeypox surge as winter approaches and more Minnesotans are driven indoors?
That's a very good question. And actually, just on Monday night, we had Dr. Nick Kelly, who is the administrator of our public health department, came and talked about those very things to the city council. We are one of 3 or 4 cities in the state of Minnesota that has our own Department of Public Health. And we also serve Edina and Richfield in terms of public health in general. And Dr. Kelly talked about a variety of different things, but he did talk about the COVID surge. He did talk about monkeypox. He talked about a number of different things as well. Suffice to say that I trust Dr. Kelly. He got us through the COVID pandemic in very good shape. His leadership was fantastic in terms of the partnership that we had with the Minnesota Department of Health, and his leadership beyond the city boundaries, as I said, within Edina and Richfield as well. He did a very nice job. I encourage you, frankly, I can't remember the specifics and the details about what he laid out about what they're seeing now and the work that they've got moving forward. I'd encourage you to go back to the video from Monday night and I think he spoke for 5 or 7 minutes or so. But just listen there. But it certainly is on people's minds. And Dr. Kelly talked about those challenges that are ahead. Because yes, as we all move back inside, I think it's going to be a different world. As school starts, it's going to be interesting as school starts again to see where the numbers go. And not just in our elementary and younger students who are largely unvaccinated, but I think as colleges get back together now again too, and despite the vaccination requirements at most of the major colleges and universities, I'm not going to be surprised to see numbers spike everywhere just because of we've seen how contagious and virulent this version of COVID is. So it's going to be a challenge, certainly. We're going to rely on our local leadership, going to rely on our state leadership to try and get through it again.
This question comes to us from Thorn01 again. I was wondering if on Johnson Avenue South, a speed control type system could be set up in front of 10101, top of the hill. People use our road as a way to avoid the lights and drive way too fast. And you may have already addressed this.
I think I did, and I'm glad I think we've got an email address there, and yep. we'll try and respond specifically to some of these very specific questions, whether it's crosswalks or speed control. We've got different options on board. And I know in terms of speed control, if any of you are concerned about speeding in your neighborhood and that kind of thing, call our police department, and they will respond. I know that more than once I've seen a neighborhood call with concerns, and they'll flood a neighborhood for a certain amount of time to try and send the message to folks to slow down, that this isn't appropriate. And so I know they will do it. Again, the numbers that I mentioned about numbers of traffic stops and citations, they're taking it seriously. So if you have a specific question or specific concern, bring it forward to the police department, and I know they'll be happy to help out.
Why not take care of Creekside and DMV? And then right behind that, basic governmental services in parentheses.
Well, I agree. Creekside was left neglected for a number of years, and it shouldn't have happened, and it did. And this predates me, and it predates a lot of us sitting here, because that building has been in rough shape for a long time. It really has. To the point now that we can't even get fixtures, replacement fixtures for the bathrooms. I think there's one bathroom that's open right now because you simply can't get replacement fixtures. Work needs to be done there. Then it becomes a cost-benefit kind of discussion. Does it make sense to put on a new $700,000 roof on a building that probably isn't worth $700,000? So, I mean, that's the question that comes up, and that's the analysis that we have to do, and that's why the discussion is to build that new public health and community health center on that spot. The question of DMV, and I've heard it from a lot of folks and a lot of questions about DMV, and obviously the DMV, the License Bureau here in the city of Bloomington is closed, and we've moved out. Everybody has heard, how many times, I don't know, that if only government ran more like a business, right? If only government ran more like a business. We do have actually different programs in Bloomington that we treat as businesses. We call them auxiliary units, auxiliary businesses, where we expect them, if not to, we don't expect them to make oodles of money, but at least break even, to be able to pay for themselves, because it's a business model and a business operation. And the motor vehicle, the DMV, the License Bureau, was one of those things. The DMV was losing $200,000 a year for a variety of reasons. The state hadn't increased fees in a number of years. Online sales dug into the money that they could make. People just ordered license tabs online as opposed to buying them through a DMV. So many of the transactions that were done at the DMV were more complicated type transactions, and then thus took a longer time, which reduced efficiency, and we ended up with people waiting in line far too long. Variety of reasons, but it was losing $200,000 a year. And the decision was made that that money would then come from taxpayers. Taxpayers covered that. And we decided, as we were looking to balance the budget as the pandemic was raging in 2020, we looked at big ticket items. We had to figure out ways to actually take a big chunk out of the budget deficit that we had, and we made the decision that the DMV was the route to go. Now, we did it for a couple of reasons. It's for all that I said, the losing all that money, but also because the vast majority of the transactions done at a DMV can now be done online. They really can. You can order your tabs online, you can order your license plates online, and it was possible for folks to do that. We also had plenty of options nearby up in Richfield and I think down in Burnsville as well, but there are other options possible. And in so many communities, you get outside of our neighborhood, in a lot of communities, a license bureau is a privately run operation. Somebody owns the license bureau. And we were in discussions, as we talked about closing our DMV, we were in discussions with a private operator who was hoping to move into Bloomington. And so that played into the decision as well, hoping that as we closed the public version of this, we'd have somebody private step in fairly quickly and we'd be able to continue the service. That person has backed away since we had those initial discussions, but it's still there available in Bloomington for a private operator to come forward and buy that license and actually operate it. So, another good example, we treat our golf courses as auxiliaries as well, that they should at least break even. And Highland Greens, our 9-hole golf course, I think was also losing $200,000 a year. And we talked about closing it. And we had a big argument about whether or not to close it and so on. It eventually worked out. We were approached by Three Rivers Park District and made a deal with them. Bloomington still owns Highland Greens, but it's operated now by Three Rivers Park District. And Three Rivers has a good track record. They know how to run a 9-hole golf course. They've got one down at Cleary Lake. They've got one up in Elm Creek, I think is what it is. So they've got a good experience doing that type of thing. And they've been very successful doing it. They were able through their expertise, through some of the efficiencies that they had with their other golf courses and some other things, they're making a go of it. And I think they're doing well enough. They're making enough money basically to cover costs. They're doing well enough. But that was another example of an auxiliary not making money in the city of Bloomington. And rather than asking taxpayers to cover that $200,000 a year loss, we were able to move it off of the books, off of the city's requirements, off of our responsibilities, and let Three Rivers Park District take it on. So that's the story of the DMV. It was losing $200,000 a year. And if we're going to talk about efficiencies, if we're going to talk about being effective stewards of public dollars, that wasn't it. Losing $200,000 a year was not it. So that is why we don't have a motor vehicle department here in the city of Bloomington. I still think it's a ripe opportunity for any private operator that would want to move in, and I know we've been reaching out and trying to contact different ones to see if they would be interested in moving in. Haven't had any luck so far.
This question comes to us from Jill. Does Bloomington do anything about abandoned buildings? I'm specifically wondering about the boarded up Rapid Oil building near McDonald's and Cub Foods at Valley West on Old Shakopee in France. This eyesore has been this way for at least 10 years.
I don't know that they're abandoned. I mean, somebody still owns it. I don't think somebody's just walked away from those buildings. The other good example is the gas station at 90th and Penn, which has been, I think as long as I've lived in Bloomington, the 20 years in Bloomington, I don't think I've ever seen anybody pump gas out of there. As a city, what we can do is try and work with prospective buyers, try and work with folks who are looking to put together. Usually it's a matter of putting together parcels of property. Those smaller parcels, like the gas station, like the Valvoline oil change, it's a small parcel. And for developers to actually be interested in it, you need to put together at least a couple of parcels to make it worthwhile to them and to make it interesting to them. And you've got to have a motivated seller. I mean, it's entirely possible that with the tax write-off or however they do it, it might make sense for whoever owns Valvoline oil to leave it empty like that. I mean, if there was motivation to sell it, I'm assuming they could have at least made a move toward it, but I don't know that I've even ever seen a for sale sign on that property, or for that matter on the gas station as well. So there are things that a city, that a public entity can do to incentivize that kind of thing, but there's also limitations of what we can do in the private marketplace. We can do what we're able to and do what we want, but it's sometimes difficult. On the positive side, that gas station, the big issue with the gas station, with any gas station, is not the station itself, it's what's underneath the gas station. It's the tanks that are underground that are likely leaking, that are probably a mess down there. That area was awarded, I think, state funding or federal funding, basically to get in there and to clean it up. And am I speaking out of school? Can I say this? Or Dino at Europolis actually has an option to buy that area with the intention of building a bigger restaurant on that corner. So, yeah, so we're very happy about that. And sometimes it takes things to line up very nicely, and sometimes it takes, as I said, a motivated buyer, a motivated seller to bring all these things together. Looking at the old clock on the wall, I think we have time for one more.
Okay. Being lost, and I'm assuming that means local option sales tax, didn't get approved by the legislature. What are the next steps for those 4 projects?
That's a good question also. So the 4 projects that we were talking about in local option sales tax, and I mentioned them, were Bloomington Ice Garden renovation, an expansion of our Center for the Arts, a new public health and public community center type thing at Creekside, and then the 4th project was a renovation of the clubhouse at Dwan. And we brought those 4 forward to the legislature. One committee chair looked at the golf course, looked at the Dwan thing and said, Dwan, and said, no, we're not giving you local option sales tax to redo the clubhouse. That's just not going to happen. So it's still a possibility, but it's, I think, going to take a little bit of negotiation. So what to do if we don't get local option sales tax? We're going to throw our phone across the stage, and it'll be all right. I'm sure it will. So if we don't get local option sales tax, The biggest concern and the most immediate concern is Bloomington Ice Garden, because the refrigeration system that is currently used to make ice, the refrigerant in there, you cannot buy anymore. It is no longer legal in the United States to buy it. You can buy it on the used market, which is what they're doing right now to keep the ice made at Bloomington Ice Garden. But for the long-term viability of a Bloomington Ice Garden, we're going to have to replace the entire refrigeration system. And without doing that, there is no Bloomington Ice Garden. It's as simple as that. And so if it's a community priority to have an ice garden, 3 sheets of ice for our hockey programs, for our figure skaters, and so on, if it's a community priority, which I think it is, then we've got to find a way to fund that. And that would then probably come through, we'd bond for it, it'd come through property tax dollars, that type of thing. And that's the most pressing need, is that if we want a Bloomington Ice Garden, we're gonna have to pony up in one way or another, either through local option sales tax or through Bloomington. The other two are then questions of what the priorities are, again, at the community. I mean, we've got Creekside right now, which is badly out of date. We also have our public health building, which is terribly out of date as well. Do we want to make that investment within the community? Do we want to try and patch something together? Do we want to rent space? How do we want to manage that in terms of those facilities, the services they provide, and the people that they serve? And then for the expansion of the Bloomington Center for the Arts, again, a performance center would be very nice, and it would be used constantly, given Cantanti, giving our symphony orchestra, giving to the chorale. We've got a nice theater, but we don't have a performance center, a performance auditorium that would be used for rehearsals. It would be used for performances. It would free up time in the Schneider Theater for other things. It would provide a lot of things, but again, it would have to be a community discussion. What's our priority there? Do we really want to do that kind of thing? So in answer to the question, and then the same is true with Dwan. I mean, that clubhouse at Dwan has been crummy for a long time, and it would just remain a crummy clubhouse unless we decide to make the investment and make it better. So really the only thing that we would, I think, the immediate and pressing need would be to make the ice garden viable, continue to make the ice garden viable, and then a discussion on the other 3 projects. We are past by 2 minutes of 8:30, so we will wrap it up here. Did we get through all of them?
Almost.
Almost.
A couple of the ones that are left you've already answered.
Oh, okay. We will we'll look through, and if there was any unanswered questions or any unique or different questions in the ones that we haven't answered, we'll answer those questions online. We'll post it online and answer the rest of those. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I really do. It's like I said, summer is fleeting. It's going fast, and the fact that you're spending a Wednesday night doing this and listening to me and being part of this is impressive, and I thank you for it. It's part of being civically engaged. It's part of being what we're trying to accomplish here in terms of getting folks involved and making this a community type feel for what we want to do. And it's part of our outreach and engagement, and the fact that we want to do more of this. And in fact, we have working on the schedule right now for this type of thing in each of the council districts as well. And you wouldn't have to listen to me all night. It would be the different council members from those districts doing basically the same kind of thing specific to those districts. And so be on the lookout for that. Again, thank you so very much for being here. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for coming out.